Hi, my name is Acrylic, aka Nika. Welcome to my channel, where we mostly talk about adult coloring, art materials, art, and whatever pops into my head meanwhile while I'm coloring. And it's another late night here at Casa Acrylic. And I thought that we might actually do some coloring on this coloring channel, because lately it's been a lot about talk about different products and art materials, and why not just do a little bit of a chilled coloring process. So I picked out this image. It's from a new book. It's my first page in this book, and I thought I'll do this one with oil pastels. And I thought to do the background first, because I mean to use different oil pastels for background than I do for the portrait. So for the background, I want to use MUNGYO ones, which are kind of softer, more smushable ones. And for the portrait, I am thinking about using these, the Pentel ones. They are smaller, slimmer, and kind of more precision, and also harder. As much as oil pastels can be precision, because it's not exactly precision material. So we're trying to stay somewhat loose as much as I can make myself, because I'm not very good at the loose and sketchy style of coloring, which I would like to kind of eventually work on. So let us see what we're going to put down here. So I thought that for this inner circle here, we could do different greens. I'm picking up some, they have names: light moss green, dark green. I'm going to also pick up something that is a bit kind of like ochreish. So it's dark yellow, but it does look kind of a bit like Naples yellow. It's a wrong light that is on. Okay, I'm going to change the lights. Yeah, that's better. You can see this is slightly like ochreish yellow, although this is more of an ochre. Probably the light that was deceiving me. But these two actually would work together very well. So this is probably, yeah, that's ochre. That's golden ochre. So anyways, I'm going to use these three, and I would like to add something muted, so olive as well. So I'm going to just apply them pretty much randomly, and I'm going to try and smush them together with a finger and not go too much out of that frame and not too much into the image either, because the reason I'm doing the background first with oil pastels is because it's a fairly opaque material. If I happen to go inside the image somewhere, I can hopefully fix it afterwards with when I'm working on the actual image, cover it up. Whereas if I do the image first and then go in, it's going to be a bit more of a pain to finish. So, okay. So this was now olive, and I'm putting something cooler down here as well. Just a couple of little stripes. I'm going to make it fairly kind of mixing the colors as they go, but I do have to have enough pigment or pastel down here to do any mixes. Like with pencils, blending and smushing them can only really happen well if there's plenty of the medium down on the page. If you try just blend very thin layers, kind of force blend them, it won't be looking great or working great. So I'm just doing And I'm trying to maintain, you know, I'm putting it down in kind of haphazard way like this. And I will try to maintain this kind of a textured feel somewhat. I will blend it with my finger, but I will try to keep it still so the different colors might be visible. I don't know how that's going to come out. This is going to be a surprise to me as well. But it might be a good surprise. Okay, so this one was light moss green, and the one before that was called dark green. And I'm now going to put in the yellow, and I'm essentially just kind of filling the gaps here. So I would have, it is a little bit of a paper, you know, showing in bits. I'd say that's going to be fine, but you want it mostly covered with oil pastels. The yellow might dominate. I might actually put down more darks because I think I might have put down too much yellow. Because I actually thinking about doing the background in fairly neutrals and ochres. This kind of a background here. Yeah, so I'm going to put down more dark to fight with that really bright yellow. I'm leaving that yellow kind of closer to her. So there would be almost as if a light behind her. And technically, if I worked, you know, this image is large and kind of solid enough that I could technically even work so that I could just blend the oil pastels with themselves, you know, without going in much with the, you know, kind of achieve a smooth effect, blending them with, you know, themselves. But it is going to be nicer when I do it with a bit of a finger as well. So, oops. I'm all comfy cozy here. That is usually the case. I tend to film, you know, that's my time for filming pretty much fairly late in the evenings. So it's always a case of kind of cozy dressing gown or something like this. Okay, so I'm going to bring you a bit closer because I think you're a bit too far away to see what I'm doing here. So I have in my hand baby wipers out. That's for later. I'm going to put it away now and make sure with paper towel that my fingers are dry, because I don't want any moisture on my fingers while I'm trying to do that. And first I'm going to try, this is just regular Q-tip or cotton bud, you know, whatever it's called, where you are located. It's a fairly popular thing. So in those slightly tighter areas, I'm just going to do, or very close to the line art, I'd work these areas quickly over. Like this, I'm not trying to achieve a perfection here. I want it to be textured, but at the same time, I don't want it to go too much. You know, if I do it with the finger very close to the outline, it tends to, you know, get into the line art. And I don't want it there yet. So I'm just going to kind of work quickly near the line art here. Just push it quickly to the line art. I'm not trying to do any blends here. I'm just trying to slightly tidy up things there and here too. And I like for this the cotton buds that have slightly pointed tip like this. Well, now I already worked off the point, but here you can see the tip is slightly pointy. Okay. And like that. And like that. All right. And now I'm going to go in with my finger, because if I do it with that really small thing, it is going to be forever. And I just want, and I'm trying to keep my movements. I should have done here near the hair as well, so I wouldn't have to go with my finger very near the hair, because I'm going to get it all green. Okay. So now I'm trying to keep my finger movements kind of one direction, because I kept, you know, when I was putting down the oil pastel, I kind of went pretty much vertically with the strokes. So I'm trying to maintain almost the texture, only I'm going to blend the colors a bit more together. I'll see, I didn't, same things here, I didn't get it close to hair. I forgot, and I don't want to go in there very much. A little bit is fine. I'll go over, you know, as I said, oil pastels are fairly opaque. I can save, you know, if there's a little bit in there. But if I go by, and here, if I'm going out of this frame, I'm not very much bothered, because I will put oil pastel outside here as well. I just put different color, so there's going to be a bit of a contrast. So I'm just going to put it up like that. And okay, and here upwards here as well, same story. I'm going to come from the corner down, and I'm like vertical strokes. And if I feel that I want to tidy it up at the edge of this frame, I can do that, but it doesn't really matter much. So it is actually, you know, if you're working in oil pastels, a little bit of looseness actually looks cool. You know, I like it. If there's variations and kind of a bit of a texture there. And I'm actually bad at leaving some, you know, texture a bit more boldly, which, you know, I do like it, but I should be more bold about it myself. I tend to overblend things and over smooth things. So I picked out salmon pink, there's golden ochre, there's burnt orange, there's dark yellow, and I also picked up this brown. Okay, and that is my dog giving out to people again about something. So I'm just going to now put it down and blend it quickly with my finger. I might even speed it up, because, you know, there's not much to talk about here, and it's going to take a little while, because, you know, it's a reasonably large area. Here we go. And we don't really know what's going to happen. I might have to add more layers afterwards, how it's going to look. But as I said, I'm not going to try and make it very smooth and even. I'm going to, oops, okay, that was great. My finger was still had still had some green in it, so let's fix that. What I'm doing here now is that I managed to stick my dirty fingers. I kind of lost concentration and stuck my dirty fingers onto the image. And although it's not really hugely problematic, I'm going to cover it up with oil pastels anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I wanted to take some excess off. So if you're doing it, make sure that you're not holding your book when you're flipping it around, that you're not holding your book from the actual portrait or image that you want to color. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave the background as is, but before I do anything else to prevent any further painful moments like this, I am going to use satin glazing liquid, and I'll find a bigger brush, and I'm going to put it a layer of it quickly here and dry it, and thus try to prevent further accidents like this, so I would constantly have my hands in this sticky dirty oil pastel. Now I have put now the satin glazing on the frame or the background, so I can actually put my hand on it without smearing oil pastels all over the place, which, you know, in all the fairness, was the plan all along. And I have once again now remembered why I didn't use oil pastels in Amazon books for a while. The paper is just very flimsy, and if you need to do fairly strong kind of finger blending, you know, with the pressure, it just tends to, you know, paper tends to buckle and not let you to do much. Doesn't also grip the oil pastels much, but you know, I'm reasonably okay with what I did here. I kind of wanted this textured background, and that's exactly what I achieved. I might eventually kind of splatter some stuff onto it if I feel like it. I probably will, but you know, that'll be the very last step. At the moment, I will concentrate. I will start with the face, and I will start with a color from, it's Pentel now, Pentel oil pastels. They're kind of a slimmer and way harder oil pastels than the MUNGYO ones that I use to background. So I'm just putting some shadows down kind of in a really dark spots, or what I want to be kind of darker spots. So I want the sides of the nose. I also want in the nose here a bit of a shadow. Other shadows are going to be here as well, but they're not going to be as dark. So shadow for the hair, the cast shadow, and underneath that earring we also need to have something. I want this side of her face to be darker, so I'm going to bring, I tend to be pretty bold with my darks, which, you know, can sometimes take people back, kind of aback. But you know, this will all be blended out. Like, it's not going to stay like that. You need to put down fairly strong shadows the way I am doing it, because I'm essentially going to go over it with lighter tones eventually. But, you know, I'm also going to put down undertones, and okay, there's going to be dark bit here. Let it go pretty dark here. And the chin. Okay. And maybe here might be a slightly darker bit as well. Okay. Alrighty. And if something, you know, after the blending out still kind of gets then too light, we can always even put some darks back in. All right. And rounding up that chin, putting a bit of color there. Okay, and let's leave it at that. Now this one was kind of fairly, I like to do those things with carmine. Is actually dark carmine. I like to do those dark shadows often. That has that kind of a purple undertone. It's brownish purple. But I am also going to add something that is a bit less purplish. And this color, what is his name? Indian red. Okay, it also has reddish undertones. It's even darker, but this is a bit more kind of a brown. So I am adding that in some areas as well, bringing it essentially. Yeah, I like my shadows almost red, and I can always cool them down afterwards further with blues, or warm them up more with browns. But yes, it's okay. And underneath the chin, this needs to be very dark. And also here, under the nose, that needs to be dark, and around the nose. Because we're going to lose, as we start blending, a lot of this line art detail is going to be lost. So we need to kind of make sure that we put darks in there. Oh well, I haven't really done portraits with, I think I've done one portrait with white pastels before. But sure, we'll figure it out again. This is us learning together. Okay, and then something, this, what is it called? It's called brown. Okay, and warming some areas here. All right, and let's grab some blue also. So this is pale blue. I often like to put that. I don't know why I decided to put it there. Something under the nose as well. See, it's mixing with other colors already. And just cooling down the shadow there a bit under the mouth here. All right. And some pink, but fairly strong pink. Actually, I'm going to add pure red, because once again, it's going to be, it's scarlet. I'm going to add that to the cheek area here. softly, softly, softly. All right. And tiny bit here, just a hint, which will show slightly. Actually, I should have left a highlight here, but okay. It is what it is. I kind of went overboard there. Well, it's not going to be perfect. Never is. Okay, and then I am going to grab some yellowish tone as well, something pale. What is this called? Naples yellow. That's exactly the color. And just that's just undertone. I'm just sticking it in some spots, and a little bit here, a little bit here. Nose needs a little bit more red in it. I should have left not just this, but this is now the vermilion. Just a little half circle of red there. And tiny bit here, tiny bit here. Oops, wrong side of the pastel. And a little bit here. Okay. Oh, sorry, I meant to put tiny bit on this cheek here as well. This is just going to glow underneath there. Okay, and I'm going to now start putting down some kind of a half shadow. So this is called ochre, and we all know what ochre is. So I'm going to put a bit of a darker area here. All right. I'm going to go over the really kind of a red darks slightly with it. Bring it also to the neck a bit, the warmth. Just go over the really dark areas and bring it out slightly. Okay, she's smiling, so we're gonna make the dimple here. All right. And now I think that this ochre is a little bit too warm. So I might go over with something cooler with it, but I want it to be kind of more of a mid-tone. So I'm gonna figure out how I'm going to cool it down slightly. Okay. Maybe with that pinkish color here, which is yeah, it's just called pink. Okay. So I'm just going to go over the ochre areas with it, so it wouldn't be so yellow. So, okay. I'm just layering and layering and layering the colors, as you can see here. It's almost like working with pencils, only you're working with kind of a cruder layers. All right. Bringing that pink out everywhere, and I want to make her kind of colorful and fun and interesting and nicely contrasted. Okay, and I'm going over that ochre here as well. So here. And if you happen to go into here or anywhere, don't really worry, you know, we can, all is fixable. And you can see how opaque this material is. So, okay, and now I'm getting crumbs. So I'm going to do quick. There we go. Maybe add a bit of more blue, which is called what? Pale blue again. Keep forgetting. This is going to actually disappear. It's not going to look as blue, you know, once I go over with the blending markers. But this is just me cooling down some shadows. You know, when I feel that it's too ochre, it's too yellow, or too red, I'm just going to put that blue in there. And I'm not even covering everything, you know, very evenly. I'm just adding it in kind of strokes almost. And if you add it in strokes, make sure that the strokes move in the direction as the face, you know, the planes of the face. Okay, and I'm going to cool you a little bit down here as well. But only, sadly, you're going to look a bit green, won't you? No, that's fine. We're gonna save it with pink. All right. And now we're going to grab something light. And here we are. So in this instance, I wanted her to be fairly, not exactly dark skin, but like tanned or, you know, glowy face. That's pale brown. And I'm now starting to go over everything here with the pale brown. So this is going to be one of my blending colors for the dark areas. And on this paper, like if you're not doing it on special very textured or special oil pastel paper, you need to be aware, like you maybe saw yourself how loosely I put the layers down. I wasn't blending out anything. I wasn't trying to get rid of the paper kind of a texture or paper white. And one of the reasons for that being that if I had tried to do that, I would have filled in the tooth and it would have been very hard to add anything. So I'm trying to not do things like that. Okay, I'm going to put that on later, the white, the highlights there. So here I'm starting to, blending everything out. And if I want to get rid of the paper texture also. But this one, with this crayon, oil pastel, I'm mainly going over kind of, the big dark areas. I'm not going to go with that color into white areas that I left untouched. This is just one way of doing portraits. There's so many different things, you can do and play with the oil pastels. This is one way of creating a portrait. And it's very kind of enjoyable. You almost feel like you're, six again and you're playing with crayons. you know, the way it goes down, you know, it goes down heavy and very expressive. It is possible to overwork with oil pastels, but it is harder than with many other mediums. So now I'm going to do that half moon here in the nose, around the nose, that area. Gonna blend it out slightly. And if I, you know, because I'm going over the dark areas with the light, I'm going to lose because I'm basically muting everything now down. I'm going to lose quite a bit of color or darkness. So I might still, you know, go over some areas afterwards with darker colors. Okay. And let's do the neck as well. I'm trying to leave this bit as dark as I can, but I probably will have to add more dark here afterwards. Oops. I pulled it down wrong direction. I went a bit too sloppy. So again, I don't know what it is. The moment I start filming, there is going to be some dog in the neighborhood that decides that this is the best moment to start barking his little heart out. Which wouldn't bother me at all, but it might be annoying in the background of my video. I do understand that. Okay, and now I'm going to grab a really light tone. Okay, are we going to go pinkish? That's probably the best I can do here. A pale orange light. There's nothing orange about it, but so I'm going to, yeah, I now remember that this one tended to be kind of quite hard and sometimes a bit tough to blend out. As with any art material or pencil, some of the items in the set are going to be harder and some are going to be softer. And this particular one seems to be one of the harder ones. So doesn't actually blend super well here, but we'll see. We'll manage. Okay. And if it goes a little bit into the eye, no worries. We'll deal with that later. So let's put the light colors there, which, you know, I don't want to pull too much dark into this area. So I'm just going to put right there. Okay. Just blending things out. And it is going to be different look than pencils. You know, you're not going to be getting, you know, this super clean pencil look with oil pastel. Well, you probably can, like if you work in really delicate layers and on a correct paper and you have the skills, you can do portraits that look like photorealistic, you know, they're super smooth, and this is not what we're going for here. We're trying to be like opposite of it. I'm trying to get it look more expressive and more painterly. No, a bit different than your regular pencil portrait. Okay, this bit is going to be tricky. Just making sure that everything is more or less blended. And now, as I'm saying, I'm trying to do something a bit different, you know, that the strokes would be more visible and it would be a bit different style, a bit more interesting, a bit more textured, kind of work with the oil pastel texture. Okay. Right, I need to put some extra dark under the nose here and around the eyes. Okay. And this is fine. The shape of the face, we kind of got the way I wanted. Okay, sorry about my nose. It's runny still. And I need to put some extra dark on there, so I'm going to go in with the English red. Let's see if I can. Okay, and here too, and here, and here. Slightly blending it out. Okay, and taking the white, adding a bit more of a highlight here, adding, I don't think the white is going to go on top. I was hoping that maybe I would be able to add a bit more of a highlight here, but not much, a little bit. I'm just going to now smear the red around. That's not good. Yeah, this is too hard of a white to go on top like this. I might be able to pull from some softer set and put white there, but it's fine. I'd say it's going to be okay. I might afterwards, you know, when I'm done with everything, add some like, you know, playthings with a bit of acrylic or something. Okay. Okay. So let's add just, and if I'm adding, you know, now I'm adding texture, I've decided to go with more texture. So just to play, just adding color where I feel like it might benefit. Oops. Clean it, clean it, clean it. If it picks up color, so you wouldn't smear the color where you didn't want it. But hey, I'd say I'm going to be fine. And now I'm going to need to put some gray here in the eyes. And here. And I need to be super careful now here, so I'm getting it into the corner here, because the whites of the eyes are not actually white, as we well know. So we need to put some gray in there, and the pale blue it's too bright. Maybe this one, pale green, and just softening the gray with that one before I pull it into white. And the white has, I keep forgetting to clean the oil pastels in between, but this one isn't actually too bad because the eyes do have some yellowish tones in it as well, so it actually worked out fine for me. I need something red in that corner, and that is going to be tough to get in there. They're so tiny, that little bit here. There should be some red in there, and it's going to be tricky. Okay, let's see if I can get you in there. All right, and I'm going over it with pale vermilion, very warm pink, and I'm taking some of the pink a little bit into the eye as well. And here too, although it's actually going to be iris here, so, but underneath the iris, just tiny bit of pink. And I keep putting that pale vermilion into spots I like. It's a nice warm pink, where I want a bit of life in the skin. Okay. All right, is the white clean? I'm going to go over the lip line with the white first. All right. And what color eyes are we going to do? So this is going to be interesting. Let's do maybe it's too green because there's a green background, so it kind of will fit well. And so here, that really dark green. And here as well, pretty dark green. If there's any cleanup to do, I can do that afterwards. I will go in with black Prismacolor around the eyes to kind of put in the lashes and tighten the eyes up again, and the kind of no. All right, let's see how this is going to work for us. And I didn't even know what color it was, but this color is just called green, imaginatively. Okay, and I'm going to use then yellow green to bring it all together. Those are some green eyes. Okay. And now I'm going to pull something into the eyebrows. Those little bits here I will need to do with Prisma, but I will put some black in there, but I'm not going to leave it fully back. I'm putting some back like to the bottom here. And I'm also working a bit of a stroke. It won't be very visible, but now. And I'm taking dark gray, so it wouldn't be like, you know, weird painted on eyebrows, although it's still kind of a bit too dark, I suspect. But okay. One of the things, if you can't get things off or if something goes where you don't want it, this is pencil blender. And you can kind of push a little bit away with it. But you can just take a piece, something that has either craft knife or something that has that sort of a tip. Basically, like, you know, embossing tools or kind of dotting tools, and you can push some paint away. But if it's gone very much into the paper, there's, you know, the best way is to really go over it with something else. But in this instance, I'm going to bring those two things together anyway. There's little, you know, dots here, or teardrops. Okay, and I'm going to tighten the eyebrows or change the eyebrows a little bit with Prisma pencils. And okay, there's too many things out here again, so I'm getting a bit too confused. Okay, so next thing we need to do is the lip. So I'm going to take this, which is called red, and the lip is actually surprisingly quite tight here. It's not super easy. I need to put something darker in the corner there. Okay, do I have a sharp bit here that I can bring to the corner? So I can darken that corner. I just use, you know, this purple, or yeah, it's literally called purple, to darken the color here a bit and deepen the corner, and deepen it here too. And let's bring it okay. And then I'm going to do the pale vermilion here, slightly soften the middle bit here. Pale vermilion. I have a feeling that I went over here. Tidy it up a little bit. Okay, and now the bottom lip edge, the bottom edge is going to be dark as well. This is tricky because her lip is actually, you know, she has a big face, but her lip is not. Now, and now I'm going to take slightly lighter red. It's not very light, but, you know, slightly lighter. And then I'm going to pull some pink. Okay. And then I have very pale. It's called salmon pink here. I'm going to put that here at the top. So we have a nice texture here. Okay. Now, there we go. The face is mostly down. And I'm putting away some of the oil pastels. I'm going to do the eyelashes. And we'll see if I need to put more white someplace. There's often, there would be kind of like lighter area on top of the eyebrows. So I'm going to stick it there, making sure that the cheeks have some bit of a lighter area. And I'm doing it kind of in textured strokes here again. And maybe soften it tiny bit with a finger. Actually, no. I should have done the whole thing then strokes. In just one area, it kind of looks a bit off. Yeah, oh, a bit more subtle. Okay, and I need to put something more underneath the nose because at the moment the shadow is lost here. I should have cut that crayon. All right. And maybe here soften that shadow with white. Yeah, it gives a better shape to the nose. All right. And here underneath the lip also slightly darken and bring that eye into a bit more regular shape. Okay, and now I'm grabbing black Prisma. I don't know if I need to bring you closer. Black Prisma color. Okay, so cover your ears. I need to sharpen it. So let's try to bring you a bit closer. Now I'm going to, Prismas go on top of oil pastels pretty well. So what I'm doing here is I'm not going to create, first I'm going to tidy up that eyebrow. I'm going to make it look more like it's hair. And you can see how it picks up bits of, I don't know if you can see the little bits hanging off it. You know, it picks up bits of oil pastel. So I keep paper towel next to me and I keep kind of pulling it gently off as I'm working. So I'm just making those eyebrows a bit more eyebrow looking. So I'm going to create like little hairs at the top. Is it, am I somehow, okay, blocking things for you? All right. So that's when I'm not overdoing them or anything. I'm just gently giving them a bit more shape. Okay. And I keep wiping off the oil pastel crumbs that my pencil picks up. All right, and now I'm going to go over there. And I'm basically giving the eye a new outline. And I'm also creating a couple of eyelashes. Just for funsies, really. You don't have to be there, but if the oil pastel is very heavy in the area, it can be hard to get that on top. the pencil top, but I'm just, going to put a little bit. And I'm also kind of softening, almost creating kind of like soft eyeliner effect here. So it wouldn't be one sharp line, because that wouldn't look very nice and natural. So I'm softening the top of that eye. Okay, see, it looks better like that. And it kind of defines the eye much better. And here I'm going to give it the eye a line as well, creating some and softening the top of the liner here. And I'm also giving a tiny bit. I'm not bringing it all the way, the strong line all the way up there, because that wouldn't look good. But I'm going to put a couple of eyelashes here. But I would need to put them again after I'm done with the hair, because I'm going to go over that area with oil pastel again. But this is kind of, there's a bit of a messy area here, so I need to kind of tighten up that area a bit. Okay, so that's here. And now pupil needs to be also re-established. Firstly, there's some oil pastel on it, and in this instance I'm going to do the proper kind of a big circle thing, but it's, no worries, I'm going to stick highlight over top of it anyway. So there, the face, the oil pastel part of the face is now done. So are we going to work on hair, or oh, it's getting very, very long? So maybe let's do the hair. And we'll see. I'm going to start on the hair. I'm doing it very sketchy way. I want it to be fairly bright, kind of more of a blonde side. So I need actually almost unnatural, blonde. But for blonde as well, you first start with shadows. So basically here is the main thing, is to work in a direction of the strands. And anything close to the face, like this, is going to be in a shadow. But so I'm trying to get carefully pretty tight, next to the face like this, so it would frame the face. And once again, I'm not trying to make super detailed hair here. I would like to achieve something that looks a bit like hair. And if I go tiny bit into the face, if things get a bit messy, like here they did, I can always just take the light pastel afterwards and clean it up like this. So here we are. I want that area quite and like this. Okay, so I want this all right like this, and then I'm going to take the yellow ochre and do some of the strands with that. But I actually wanted kind of, almost a natural yellow, so I will actually bring in pretty bright yellow here as well. Not dominating, but I definitely want it to be bright. And if the bottom of the hair isn't, I'm not particularly happy, I can kind of tidy it up or make it more prominent after I have put on the setting glazing liquid. I can go in with white pencil and just, add some highlights here and there. Okay, and now I'm taking my third color, which is Naples Yellow. And I want it so I'm going over all the areas I left white with it. And I'm trying to move with the oil pastel in the same direction as the hair is moving or going. This way it kind of looks a bit better. It's not important to make it look very detailed. You kind of give an impression of hair here. You're not trying to do strand by strand depiction of hair. There we are. And if you want to, you can keep adding a bit of a shadow with your lighter hand, but make sure that you move in a direction of the hair strands, which the artist is actually depicted pretty well. It would actually be quite easy, if you worked on with pencils, to put in nice hair, because I like the way she's drawn the hair. But we'll see how this is going to work out. So I'm going to do the other side like this as well. In the places where the hair is darker, it doesn't really work that well in the light areas. You can take the same embossing tool or whatever kind of, it can be any sharp thing, even craft knife, and create some extra texture here. So it would look like hair. Just make sure that you go in the direction of where the hair would be going. And here, maybe in the darker areas, you can add some extra strands as well. Although it doesn't really, add a huge amount, but it does add a little bit of interest. But it doesn't really work on light areas, because basically what you're doing is that you're pushing the oil pastel away and you're exposing a bit the lightness of the paper. And, if it's light yellow, there's not much of a difference. Whereas in the darker areas, you can create some texture. So, just if you feel like doing dark hair, but usually I'm not overly bothered about that thing. Okay, so now this thing on her head, I was thinking, should I do that with oil pastels, or should I do it with like acrylic markers? Or I'll do it with oil pastels and I'll decide at least the base. I might do the dots with the acrylic markers eventually, if I feel like it's going to be a bit much of a pain. I put some purple here in the shaded shadow bit to get kind of a like shadow or darker area, because I don't really have that sort of a deep dark, very pigmented red. And I wanted to match her top, which I forgot to film. I made her top red. So we need to, I want to do this red as well. So oh, I need to put that the same color here underneath as well for the shadow that it's drawing, so it would stand out from the background. Okay, And here I'm bringing tiny bit. And here I'm also kind of creating this. I think I might need to do the dots with the acrylic marker later on, because it's going to be a pain. I could do them with oil pastel, you know, if I was super careful, but I'm not sure. I can't be bothered to be super careful. Okay, so no, I'm not going to be. So I'm just going to be put the darks down and do the main shading, and afterwards add the color here with acrylic markers. Okay. All right, and now I'm going to take this vermilion, warm it up, bringing it to warmer. It's not even that much lighter, but it's kind of warmer. Warmer red. And I'm just going to use that to blend things out a bit. And now I'm going to put in the pale vermilion. Is it called? Yeah, pale vermilion. And this is I'm trying not to go over the darker areas with it too much, so I would still have the shadows, but if I do, I can always put a little bit more in afterwards. Oh, I think I might need to. And I will probably, you know, once everything is now covered with satin glaze, which I will do, then I will probably add some acrylic markers, you know, just to bring some edges out and stuff like this. Here I'm probably going to emphasize the edge with acrylic marker and stuff like this. We'll see how this is going to work out for me. All right. Just taking the red off, so I actually get that lighter tone that I want here. Because as I'm blending the red out, some of it stays stuck on my crayon or my pastel. Okay, I'm going to bring some of the red back. Some of it is gone. Okay. All right. And I will probably add either gold or yellow dots onto that headscarf. Okay, and we need to do the earring. That's the last thing. What color are we going to do that earring? Try to do it kind of a bit like, kind of almost like a pearl. So we can try to do it in multiple colors. Put in some shadow here. No. Put in some yellow here. Oh, I lost the pink. The green. Okay, and now I need to put okay. So I might give it then once everything is sealed. I might give it a bit of possibly I might give it some bright kind of a highlight there, and that would kind of make it pop. Might add a tiny bit of blue to it as well, just a touch. You have to make sure that the blue is clean though, because I've used it. And yeah, that's more interesting. Yep, that looks better now. And this is now the image before I have covered it with satin glaze and then added the final details. So see you in a second. What I'm doing here now is that I am putting some acrylic marker outline onto this bow on her head, and maybe slightly softening it out as well. Because I'm working on the satin glazing base now, I have a little bit more time to work and soften things, you know, if I want to do that. In some instances I do, some instances I don't. So basically I'm just going to give some kind of cleaner edges to the bow. Now tighten things up a bit. I'm not going to go overboard with it, just a little bit. And maybe, there we go. And maybe this. Just bringing it out more, otherwise it was kind of getting lost there. And I think I might do the gold bits with possibly like gold gel pen or like that, those polka dots. But I'm not sure. I'm kind of doubting myself here now. Should I do them with gold or should I do them with yellow? Some glitter might be fun. Okay, so anyways, yellow. We can always go over the yellow. Let's see how it's going to be looking if I did it with yellow. I would probably need to do several layers, wouldn't I? I actually like the way that it goes down, that it's not fully kind of opaque and slightly textured. I think it adds interest. I might actually do it with the yellow. But leave it like this, you know, I wouldn't go over second time and make them solid. I'd actually leave them like this, because I don't want to shade the yellow, and this way it looks like it doesn't need it. Yeah, I think that looks fine. Was I in the shot? I hope I was. So I'm going to put the quick dots here. And I'm actually making sometimes deliberate texture inside the dots, as if they're slightly fluffy almost. There's like some texture on them. Because I really don't want to start shading them. I'm kind of feeling a bit done, if you know what I mean. I don't want to overdo this image. The whole point is that it's kind of a loose and quick, and if I overdo it, then I'm losing all of that. So now I need some light, couple of kind of a light, yeah, I think this one would work fine. So and I'm not going to put too much of that down, but I want to have a couple of places that have this really light outline, almost like there's a light behind her. So I'm going to take it's almost like, you know, kind of backlit effect a little bit, that I want the edge of the hair slightly lighter. And so just softly, you know, not very harsh or strong, but a little soft highlight. And this is why I'm using, once again, the markers that are not fully opaque. They just give that soft glow to the edges. I'm not even trying to, you know, cover the lines or anything. I just want to brighten some areas. So, and that's what I'm doing. Okay. And here, and here, and here, and here. Just bringing it out. Okay. She has a necklace that I did not bother even try to color with the oil pastels, because there was no way. Oh, actually, I might, that bright yellow that I had, I might put a bit of an outline here as well. Kind of soften that line here. And give, yeah, and the shoulder like this. Okay. And here as well, just cleaning it slightly and softening that line here. Okay. I'm not going to try to get rid of those outlines or anything. It's fine. Or should I? Or should I try to do something about that neckline? The rest of it is fine. It's the back of the neck, the black. Should I try to... Is that too light? Yeah, it's too light. That's a bit better, I think. Okay, so this is too light as well. Yeah. Doesn't really add much, to be honest. Okay, I lightened it slightly, but I'm going to leave it as is. I'm not going to try to color it. It's not going to look great. It's very thick, and you know, I would need to very much paint it out, and I don't feel like it at the moment. So the necklace, I'm going to just take metallic acrylic pen. It's called Metal Golden Shine Marker. Lovely Chinese markers that are really pretty, and I'm going to do it in two different kind of tones. I'm making that one. Now, of course, it's not working, because why would it? They're usually quite, you know, decently reliable, but now it's just decided that nope, not working. Oh, here we go. All right, and the last thing I'm going to do with it is to add some acrylic white. Get the highlights in place. Hopefully it won't spit something now. I think this went too big. Oops. It's all right. All right. I didn't expect it to be as juicy as it was, but it's fine. It's fine. Just a little bit of texture here with white. Okay. And let's put dot here, something here, just extra highlight. Something onto the lip. And I think we're done. There you are. It's kind of a one evening thing. Went fast enough. It maybe was, what, a couple of hours? Something like this. It's fun, I think. No, it's not pencil portrait. You know, there's no point expecting pencil portrait, especially with kind of a harder pastels like that, and especially with my skill levels. But I think it came out fun enough. So thank you very much for watching and coloring with me. And have a lovely creative time. Be healthy, be happy, and bye-bye.